and of course all my friends at AllFreeCrochet.com and I tell you, that is a mouthful. I dare you to say it 3 times. In today's tutorial, we're actually going to be doing 3 separate videos with the same intro. And what we want to do is we want to concentrate on how to put a granny square blanket together. In this method that you see here, we have your single crochet. And basically the single crochet is coming together, okay, and it's going to form like a window. So on one side, it looks completely perfect, but on the other, you'll see that there's like grooves and everything happening in between. So that is single crochet. And method number 2, we're going to talk about how to continuously join all your squares together. So when you get to the right diameter, we can just sew it, or we can actually crochet it all together at the same time, so you can keep working like that. And then finally, method number 3, we're actually going to be sewing them together. And I don't really like that method too much, but those are the 3 methods. So let's get started on this tutorial. Method number 2 is about actually continually joining your squares as you go. So instead of making a stack of pancake granny squares, you can actually just make each granny square, and as you're getting to the right diameter, to the final size, you can attach them together. There's positives and negatives to both doing this. Is that the positive is that you end up with a seam that's actually pretty low key. So you don't get the windowing kind of effect when you do the continuous join. The disadvantage is of this kind of nature is that if I was to make granny squares that are completely different colors out of each, and I'm going to have to hold really still so I can zoom in, you'll notice that the yellow or the green here is actually overlapping a bit to the blue. But it's actually doing the same here from the blue to blue, but you can't see it because it's the same color. So this kind of method is really nice only if the exterior color is kind of matching each other. And in granny squares, usually technically, is that you always see it's kind of like a windowing effect where all the borders of each one of the squares match the same color. So in method number 2, we're going to continually join them all together, not like we did over here in method number 1. But what you can do, if you're a kind of girl or guy that likes to do pancake style, so you like to make all your squares in advance, what you want to pay attention to is the very last rotation of your final size of the square. You do not want to do those in the pancake. You want to leave those because it's that rotation that basically attaches them all together. So you can either work on each individually and attach, or you can do the pancake style and make all your squares in advance. So what we want to do though is that we want to pay attention. If you're going to do all the same colors on the outside, it's not going to be a big deal. But if you decide to do your outer rims to be a different color and attaching it, you are going to see a jump over. And sometimes that can actually be really noticeable depending on what color you're going to use. So you will be able to see that. So if that's something that bothers you, do not do it like that. So have your colors match. So we're going to focus on the actual project here, and this has been done before the final rotation. So you can see it's a small one, and it's going to now fit into the gap where we want to go. So what we're going to do now, and this is actually kind of complicated at first, but it actually makes a total bunch of sense once you get going. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do is that we're going to start chaining up, and usually between each one of the layers we chained up 3, but in this case we're only going to chain 2. So 1 and 2. And now what we're going to do is grab the additional one. So remember how I said fold it up like a sandwich style in the other tutorial? You just want to sandwich it. So put it up underneath, just like so, of the next one. Grab the material and pull it through. And that'll equal your 3 that you were normally going to get. So you're only going to be attaching these on the edge, the gap, gap, and gap, and then the edge again. So what we're going to do now is come back down to earth, come back down here to the actual, and finish off as if you were doing the granny square normally. So it's just a matter of putting in your 3 on the corner. So that you're chaining up 1 where you attach as 1, then your 2nd, and then again your 3rd as normal. So now we're ready to jump across, and normally if we were going to make these squares we would just chain 1, but in this case what we're going to do is go to the back one and behind, so the blue, and I purposely made these separate colors so you can see it. Just sticking your hook into the blue, grabbing the material and pulling it through. So you're going to kind of like single crochet to the blue one only, and now what you want to do is come back to the gap that you have here, and you are going to put your 3 in like you normally would. Sorry, I kind of hesitated there, didn't I? Hopefully that's not too noticeable on the video. I just had to think about it for a bit. So you you're going to put in your 3, and now you're going to look back for the next gap that's on your square, and the gap will then be on the blue. Okay, so right into the blue, pulling it through, pull through 2, and now we want to concentrate back on the yellow or green again, so wrapping and coming and putting your 3 into the yellow only. And now we're back into another gap, okay, in the blue, just like so, going through, pull it through thing, and now we're back into the actual corner piece of the green, so going in. And remember how we started off and we attached it to the blue on the very first one? Well, we're on the opposite side now, so we don't want to do it until we get to the final of there. Okay, so remember, we're now going to turn the corner because that's the first side of the corner before we turn. So let's chain 1, and now let's go into the gap over here in the blue, going in. So that was chain 2, and now we come back to the yellow again. So we chained 1, we secured it to the centerpiece for chain 2, and now we're just going to finish this off for your 3 again. Okay, so now you got your 3. You want to chain, or you want to just go back now. We've just turned. And I purposely chose this tutorial to actually make a turn because you're going to have that in real life. So you just go into the next gap in behind on the behind square, going through, chain 1. Sorry, that was the single crochet for 1, and then just jump into the front gap again for another chaining of 3. It actually makes a total bunch of sense once you wrap your mind around it and realize how easy and quick this can actually be. Okay, so now your next gap, through, and then come to the front one again. So why is your gaps not equaling each other when you look at it? And you got to think about this, ladies and gentlemen, is that the square that you are working on in front, so this one, is not the same size as that because it's not the full developed side. So you will think that you would, like in other crochet granny squares, is that you're matching gap to gap. In this case, that's not true because of the size difference of your squares. So going through to the next one. Okay, and now let's go and do your corner of this one. Do you see that? This one is bigger than that one. That bird sounds lovely today. Let's go into the corner. And of course, we're working on the corner, so the final one, 1, 2. So you're going to chain 1, going into the corner. Okay, and that was a single crochet, and that counts as your chain 2, so you can attach, rotate it, and continue along to make your square the right size. Now I recommend if you're going to do something like this, try to only have it attach twice. So I wouldn't like make another square here and then have to do this one. It just makes it a little more harder for yourself. And overall, not a bad technique. You can assemble your blanket as you go instead of waiting. But this is actually a really nice clean method. And you will notice in comparison to the other ones that we did, the gapping is not as high, so it's actually more seamless. But the other side actually looks flat too. So either way you go, it's actually a good choice. So I hope you have a great day, and thanks for joining us again.